we have Don Callis. I think the only thing left really we have is Don Callis.
Yeah, we already talked about we got and because the Don Callis we'll talk about Piper as well.
Yeah, the Don Callis stuff kind of intersects with all the other stories of the month. So Don Callis is trying to boot out everybody he doesn't like, even though the Sandman shows up again, so he's kind of failed.
But he showed up to get a win and leave, so...
So Kid Cash and Mad Mikey face Ekmo and Sonny Siaki on the first show of the month. D'Lo Brown interrupts their backstage promo, politely apologizes for interrupting their backstage promo, unlike some AEW talent who constantly interrupt people's interviews without offering some kind of apology.
Clearly they have more confidence than D'Lo.
So yeah, D'Lo's like, I have your back against Ekmo and Siaki because I've had this beef with Ekmo and Siaki for a few weeks now.
Yeah, they tried to kill me that one time.
They did. They held a funeral for me.
How rude.
So Don Callis comes up, interrupts, and is like, "Hey, D'Lo."
Interferes.
D'Lo, if you interfere, I'll boot you out of the building forever. You're not to interfere in that match.
He's like, "Oh yeah, I'll show you."
So D'Lo had the match against Daniels, which was Daniels won after interference from the red shirts.
A lot of red shirts on these shows.
There is a lot of red shirts on these shows. Like and like I will say these first two shows are extremely flat. The first two shows of the month, but like. When you book a show and you're like, all right, we'll do Daniels and D'Lo, I think in your head at least, you can justifiably think that match is going to be better than it turned out to be.
Yeah.
But it's just everything on these shows felt super flat, particularly the first two shows of the month, the crowd were just stone dead. Did not care.
Me too, to be honest.
So when you get this D'Lo and Daniels match, which on theory, two good wrestlers, it's just a flat match.
Yeah.
So Siaki and Ekmo defeated Shark Boy and Mikey with a real cool like press slam cutter.
Yeah.
It's a cool tag finish where Ekmo took him up in a press slam and Siaki like cuttered him down. It's a cool move.
It was really funny that this happened like immediately after the health insurance talk.
Oh god, yeah, well let's finish this and we'll get to that.
To be fair, the health insurance stuff really happened over like 2 shows anyway.
So after Sharky and Mikey in this match, they hit a double dropkick and then they did a double stereo big wiggle, which I popped for.
Yeah, he did not leave the building. D'Lo came in. He's like, "Oh, we'll save you."
Yeah.
Callis, horrible misuse of power. It's just inappropriate.
So yeah, D'Lo tries to save. He gets booted by the red shirts.
That's just the theme of the month.
So there's a reoccurring story this month, Liam, where Erik Watts confronts Don Callis during a pre-tape, and he talks about how Rick Santel hurt his shoulder in a match in TNA, and TNA should pay for his health insurance. Or at least pay his medical costs.
Yeah. True.
Erik Watts, man of the people, of course.
Yes. Erik Watts, noted socialist.
And Don Callis just absolutely ridicules this idea.
Which is very funny.
Funny's a word. He's like...
I mean, it's objectively funny in like that morbid way.
I literally cannot believe, like I am stunned that there is a story on this wrestling show about how one of the authority figures is trying to deny people health insurance in wrestling. He's like, we can't offer health insurance. Look at the bottom line. It's ridiculous to even suggest that we'd offer health insurance.
It's the most ridiculous thing that Don Callis has ever heard in his life. And you know what? It's the most ridiculous thing that Don West has ever heard in his life too.
Yeah, Don West really good. Like he's full on the, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. They know what they're getting themselves into. It's like, Don!
It's fucked up.
Why are you supporting the other Don?
Yeah, this is bad news. And then Don Callis turns it around. He's like, well, why don't you pay for it? I think Erik Watts is like, I don't have a spare $3 million lying around. You know our medical system.
Also, very importantly, of course, Liam, Erik Watts is only in charge of the wrestling. He's not in charge of the business.
But it's also like, if you cared about it, why don't you pay for it?
But it's not Erik Watts' responsibility. In theory, it's TNA's.
I think the funny thing, well, that's the heat, Garrett. that is the storyline. Yes,
it's a word for it.
Added extra heat here. Don Callis is from Canada.
That's true, where they do have socialized medicine.
So he can say all that he wants and then go to Canada and get his shit fixed.
It must be mentioned that it's Siaki and Ekmo against Shark Boy and Mad Mikey match is Mad Mikey's final TNA match.
Oh, that's surprising.
Well, he would pass away in November.
Oh, that's less surprising.
So, yeah, I enjoyed what little of him we saw in TNA. I thought he was a good addition to the show.
I thought he would have stuck around. Like, obviously, there's a reason. But, you know, I thought if that hadn't have happened, we would have kept Mad Mikey around for a long, long time. Bit of a morbid jump from the health insurance bit.
Well, there's the Piper interview on this show as well, where he does...
Let's just get the Piper shit out of the way, man.
Where Piper does actually talk about it. He has the second sit-down interview at Mike Tenay on the show, where he does actually talk about how many wrestlers would have died if wrestling companies offered health insurance. And again, it's like, you're really going there.
Wouldn't have died.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's insane that this is a thing that ever aired. Still, like, not wrong. You know, pay for your wrestlers when they're hurt.
This is clearly a story they wanted to. It's not just Piper doing some wacky Piper thing, because
it's a story they want to tell for about 2 weeks, and they go, "This is fucking insane," and they stop telling the story.
Well, that's TNA for you, though.
Yeah, but like I think even they were like, "What the fuck are we doing here?"
Yeah. So this Piper interview is the usual Piper. Like, he's completely incoherent. No, you have no idea what he's saying. Mike Tenay is like kind of mean to him.
I don't know. This whole Piper thing was, what the fuck was any of this? Why did he even come back? This was 3 weeks of this.
Like, Tenay is like, so you got dumped by WWE, you're getting dumped by TNA. Why don't you just quit wrestling?
And he's like, yeah, all right.
And then Piper, you actually don't hear the final line of Piper's interview due to a reoccurring problem in this month's of shows, which is audio issues.
Yeah, they went HD and they couldn't keep up with the HD audio.
That's what Mike Tenay says anyway. But even then, like, the rest of the month, there is a ton of interviews where it's like, I think their production has been pretty good in recent months, but there's a ton of stuff on these shows where it's like they cut to a backstage interview and you don't hear the first like 5 to 10 seconds of it because they didn't switch the audio fast enough.
Yeah. It was pretty annoying at times.
There's a lot of rough stuff. But yeah, the last line of his interview is something to the extent of, I've never quit in my life in pro wrestling and I'm not going to start now.
And then we've never seen ever again.
No, we do get more Piper.
I know he's back.
And even when Russo's taken out by Jarrett, there's a story. Scott Hudson is talking to Don Callis in an interview where he's like, hey, Russo's gone now. Does that mean Piper can come back? And he's like, you've been getting your info from Watts, haven't you?
He should have been, like, paid for Vince Russo's medical expenses. He will be okay.
That would have been the heat, brother.
Yeah.
So we get a bunch of red shirt security stuff. October 8th, red shirts face Chris Vaughn and D'Lo Brown.
This is when we get Kevin Ethcott, wet contender.
Oh, is he? How wet is he?
He is insanely wet here. He is straight up Abyss levels wet.
Are Kevin Northcutt and Abyss? Did you call him Kevin Wetcut a second ago?
I didn't, but I'm going to now.
Kevin Wetcut. He did absolutely murder Chris Vaughn with the J Driller.
So the best thing that came out of this, I was like, man, it's a real shame they never got Chris Vaughn over because he felt like he could have been a legitimate homegrown guy.
And I'm not sure is he good, but he has that like underdog potential, doesn't he?
But it's like he can give it a shot, you know. I think he's young. He can do the flips. He can do the bumps.
He get like Northcutt. He absolutely kills him with the JJ. He like absolutely destroys the man. It's like, oh no, he's dead.
To the point where Erik Watts is like, you dropped him on his head, man. What the fuck?
Yeah, and he's like, we need to get medical treatment for him too.
And then we get on the next show a Liam dream match.
I will say, it is exceedingly rare that I will say that Erik Watts is the best wrestler in a match. But here we are, Kevin Northcutt versus Erik Watts.
Banged. This match was tremendous.
Was it?
An old-time great TNA match. I mean, what is there not to like about this? I mean, except the result. That's the one thing.
Well, and the post-match saw a big return as well.
Yeah, your favorite wrestler came back. Don Harris.
Oh, no, that's not the return I was talking about. I was talking about Goldilocks.
That's what you were talking about. The big return that you were really excited for.
I was talking about Goldilocks.
And yet Goldie came back. I don't know what happened to Goldie in the meantime, but she came back a different woman. It's all that time with Erik Watts.
Kevin Northcutt beat Watts after he hit him with a chain. They jumped Watts after the match until Don Harris made his return, accompanied by Goldilocks. They're friends, apparently. Yeah, Goldilocks is a different person. Very weird looking.
Yeah, she, I don't know. Things got... I guess that's what living with Erik Watts does for you. Dating Erik Watts, this is where you go.
You gain the unhinged energy.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, Goldilocks had a lot of unhinged energy in her own right, but when you combine it with the unhinged Erik Watts energy,
it really brought it down a path.
Yeah.
Ever since they started linking up on screen, those two have just... It's the Joker and Harley. This is what this is. Erik Watts Joker-fied Goldilocks.
As we mentioned, Don Callis also got rid of D'Lo. He's gone for now.
Rest in peace.
Callis mocked getting rid of D'Lo. Mocked it, said you can just buy his bobblehead.
I looked for that bobblehead. I immediately went to eBay and was like, oh, this bobblehead. Another thing we should sell. I'm sure D'Lo won't care.
D'Lo won't care about his intellectual property. It's fine.
I was going to say, like, the shirts I think we can get away with. I don't know if we can put someone's image on something and be like, here you go.
And last show of the month, we had a tag match. Don Harris and Erik Watts faced the Red Shirt Security.
Yeah. They also all came out and did a big schmuzz in the AMW Naturals match.
Oh, yeah, and Watts restarted the match, yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind these little tags, though, because they're short normally, and there's just big dudes beating up little dudes.
Oh, you're a big fan of the Don Harris tag match, are you?
He was kind of good in it.
Wow.
Listen, I don't mean to step on your love of Don Harris, but he had a good match.
A never-ending reminder that before Liam spent like 14 episodes calling me a Nazi, the quote, the Harris Bros are pretty good if they weren't Nazis, came out of Liam Jones's mouth. And then he turned it around on me.
Yeah, because I don't like the fact that they're Nazis. Unlike you, who loves the fact that they're Nazis.
Hate you.
Like, that for me, that's a negative, Garrett. I don't think you get the thing here. It's like, that's a positive for you, but a negative for me.
Hate you.
You tried to come at me, alright?
This is podcast bullying. It's very upsetting. I'm glad you didn't get your pizza. I'm glad your pizza went cold on our last episode.
Oh, it was still good, so fuck you.
I'm happy you choked on it.
Well, that one's fair.
I am happy that this podcast recording has gone long enough that you're getting less sleep before work.
Yeah, that is legitimately upsetting me.
Oh, we're nearly done. So, after the match, the Red Shirts dropped Watts with a spike pile driver, but Don Harris made the save. As Goldie checked on Watts, she was very concerned.
Yeah. It's Goldie, man. This look. That's all I can think about.
Listen, you'll get more Goldie in the months to come.
Yeah, well, I hope this is the look that links her up with Alex Shelley. That makes a lot of sense to me.